Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Let's take a look at the hollow demagogy of Obama's State of the Union address. Sputnik, but he's presiding over the destruction of the manned space program and of the space program in general. NASA is one of the most endangered of all the government agencies at this point. Now, investments, that makes sense. There should be a capital budget separate from the current expenditure budget. These are not the same. Naturally, for a reactionary Republican, a Tea Party fanatic, it's all government spending. You can now hear fast rail is now a mockery. It's a term of mockery among reactionary Republican troglodyte radio commentators. The Chinese are laughing at you. The Chinese are going to be riding around in air-conditioned comfort, and the U.S. is going to be wallowing in the mud of defeat and demoralization. So that part is real. But if you're going to talk about the Sputnik, well, what have you got? Infrastructure, he just said, we've got to build some roads, got to build some rail. No new money provided. Nothing there, right? Nothing about the canal system. There can't be, because otherwise his green extremist ecological base would rebel. They want green jobs, of course, green jobs, the kind that make you poorer. The more of them you have, the poorer you get. In terms of education, the main thing Obama seemed to be offering is union busting, because that is the principal content of his Race to the Top program. So if you're dealing with a crisis in education, as he says, 80% of 1/4 of the U.S. does not finish high school, and U.S. is now number 9 in countries percentage with a college degree. What's the answer? Bust the union, says Obama. Bust the union, strip them of tenure, strip them of seniority, terrorize them. The teachers already leave the field after 4 to 5 years. They come in with this Teach for America fanaticism. It's like the volunteers in the Bolshevik Revolution. And then they get burned out, and then they're out. So union busting. Now, in terms of Obama's deficit cutting, no earmarks. No earmarks is a demagogic joke. The sums involved are trivial. What's wrong with the legislative branch asserting its power to specify where certain sums ought to go? In itself, there's nothing wrong with this. Should be done openly. Everybody does it. Ron Paul does it. When Galveston needed $100 million to rebuild the port, Ron Paul inserted an earmark into the relevant bill, which he then voted against, but the earmark was nevertheless his. There's nothing wrong with this stuff. Sometimes that's a good thing. Galveston is a national resource. We need it, don't we? We don't begrudge $100 million to Galveston. It's money well spent. Those are capital investments. They'll be around for a long time. And Harry Reid is, in this case, right to point out that Obama is completely barking up the wrong tree. Plus, of course, nobody believes this. The Republicans themselves will be the first to insert more earmarks. A 5-year freeze on domestic discretionary spending. That's a terrible idea. Does that include unemployment benefits, Obama? Does that mean that we can't increase the funding for the huge wave of unemployment that your failed policies are now helping to generate? The green jobs we've already talked about. You can also hear the free trade mantra coming back again. I hear the giant sucking sound, the U.S. jobs being exported overseas. This is a very obvious area of convergence between the Wall Street Democrats under Obama and the reactionary Republicans, that we'll have the South Korean trade pact, then I believe we have Colombia, and I think we have Panama. And Mitch McConnell says we want 3 of them, not just one of them. Well, the giant sucking sound, more jobs exported. Jobs, jobs, jobs exported to other countries with the pestilence of free trade. We don't need free trade. We need a protective tariff to reindustrialize this country. Now, even more sinister, Obama promised more Medicare cuts beyond the $500 billion included in his wretched health bill. Now, here's an interesting op-ed. This is Tuesday, January 25th. Obama's credibility test by Michael Gerson of the Washington Post. The question, therefore, is what is Obama going to do, says Gerson, after presiding over budgets adding $3 trillion in debt one would think that Obama is at a disadvantage, but one, as usual, has no idea what one is talking about. In other words, this is wrong. On spending, Obama will attempt to outflank Republicans to their right. Yes, you heard it. On spending, Obama will attempt to outflank Republicans to their right with the help of William Daley, Jack Lew at the OMB, the replacement for the genocidalist Orsag, and Gene Sperling, all Wall Street creatures. The administration's Clintonian direction is clear. It will seek higher revenue, cuts in defense, spending caps, and more aggressive health care price controls, which will cost lives. When measuring deficit reduction, the last is the most important, Medicare. It is the combination of cost inflation, an aging population, and expansive health entitlements, really, that push America towards the fate of Greece, says the right-winger Michael Gerson in the Washington Post. So you heard it. He said more cuts, and as Gerson points out, one way to do this is to stop the doc fix. In other words, the supplemental that has to be voted on every year to maintain Medicare payments to doctors at an acceptable level that allows the doctors to remain solvent. Obama will now try to sabotage the doc fix, and so this is Medicare Part B, I guess. He wants to destroy that part. The previous part, the part in the health bill, I think had more to do with payments to hospitals, so I could be wrong on that. So more cuts in Medicare above and beyond the $500 billion that this master of deceit and treachery and deception has already taken out of the Medicare system. And therefore, hold on to your hat. Obama says, I want to strengthen Social Security. Strengthen? With strengtheners like you, we don't need saboteurs. This, of course, means increase the age, following in the footsteps of the infamous Daniel Patrick Moynihan, and let's decrease the benefits, and let's do other things to undermine the nature of this benefit. Now, Obama then says, I don't see how we can extend the tax cuts for the rich. Of course, that's what he's just done. He's also talking about tax reform and tax simplification. God save us from these simplifiers. As soon as they open this can of worms, you can be sure who's going to get shafted. 99.5% of the U.S. population. And, of course, the lowering of the corporate income tax, no, sorry. Collect the corporate income tax. It used to be the corporate income tax was something like 1/3 or 40% of U.S. income. The Treasury now it's 10%. No. We want to revive the corporate income tax and make them pay it. And we'll be back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.